This is a traditional e-scooter. You've probably seen them in a city near you. You could rent them for a few cents per minute and zip around town in them. This, however, is something totally different. This is the Varla Eagle One, and it is an e-scooter on steroids. It has a full suspension. It has two motors, making it capable of going 40 miles an hour. It's pretty much bonkers. And today on this episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, we're gonna take it for a spin around Southern California, and we're gonna find out whether it's worth the extra money for one of these bad boys. We're cooking. Welcome everyone to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive. Now, not too long ago, I did a review on a e-bike or an electric bicycle. I had a load of fun doing that. And this time we have electric scooters. Specifically, we have the Varla Eagle One. And as you saw in the intro, this thing is just a scooter on steroids. It goes crazy fast. It's got full suspension. So you can really do things with this that you can't do on a traditional e-scooter. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna take you on a brief tour and show you kind of some of the features of this thing. And then we're gonna take it for a spin in Venice and Santa Monica and see what it's all about. You can really see the size difference between a traditional scooter here on the left and then the Varla, of course, on the right. The big difference being here is the Varla sits so much higher off the ground, has more ground clearance thanks to the front and rear suspension. It also has a front and rear motor, so it's technically all-wheel drive. So this is a bigger unit than you would see in a traditional scooter, and it also has a bigger standing pad, so you can put your feet sort of forward, both forward, or you can stagger them like a skateboard or snowboard. It has a key, which is kind of interesting, sort of like a motorcycle or car, and it's a nice anti-theft feature, so someone can't just like hop on this and ride it away. They could try and like carry it away, but it's heavy. We'll get into that. You don't really want to be carrying this thing around. Turn that key on, hold this button down, this switch here, that turns on the LCD, and squeeze this trigger, and we're off. So the first thing, there's a couple things that you notice immediately on this thing compared to your traditional Bird or Lime or any of those things. The suspension, I don't know if you could see me bouncing up and down, the suspension is really immediately apparent when you get on any sort of broken pavement. We're on really smooth pavement, of course, right now, but it helps out a ton, especially when you get to speeds that this thing can achieve, which we will hit here in a minute. Kind of chilling right now at just kind of the lower speed settings, and I'll get into more of the speed settings here in a minute. But the suspension is really, really nice because it is quite jarring when you're at full speed on those traditional scooters, and you know, you hit some rough pavement and they kind of jar you around. It's not only uncomfortable, but it's kind of unsafe as well. So full suspension front and rear, I really like that about this thing. It definitely sets it apart from a lot of other scooters. And then the second thing is these dual 1,000 watt motors, front and rear, so it's technically all-wheel drive. See, we go over that rough pavement without issue. So it's technically all-wheel drive, and it has crazy amounts of power to go fast. So we got here eco and turbo mode. I pretty much always keep it on turbo mode. That allows you to go a little bit faster, but what also allows you to go a little faster is this dual motor button, which I just clicked, and you're gonna see we're gonna start gaining speed, even though we have to stop here for pedestrians. Woohoo! The acceleration with the dual motor on is quite brisk. We'll say that for sure. It's a lot quicker than your traditional scooter off the line. And it actually, like if you're leaning back, it tries to do like a front wheel burnout. It's kind of crazy. We have over here this mode button, and I'm gonna hit that. Now we're in gear 2, and we're picking up immense speed, as you can see. And let's just take it to gear 3. Let's see what she do. Look at this. There's a car over here, and I'm going to pass them. It's mind-bogglingly fast, guys. Like, it's actually, like, it goes faster than I really ever want to go on a scooter. I was hoping that maybe somebody would be on a bird or lime in this area, so I could like race them and pass them with ease, because this thing is just, like I said, crazy fast. I'm actually gonna drop it down a gear. We're gonna go to gear 1. How you control the top speed is with the gear button and by hitting this mode button. So gear 1 through 3, and they just get progressively faster, or I should say a higher top speed with hitting those gear buttons. So you have a bell here, of course. The battery is a nearly 1 kilowatt hour battery. It's like 950 watt hours. And I'm relatively new to the battery scene as it is with, like, you know, cars and things like that. So I'm learning as well, but you know, it basically boils down to how many watts you can use per hour. It's actually quite simple. So a 1 kilowatt hour battery, they claim a 40-mile range. We're gonna kick up the speed here because I'm like holding up this car. Not anymore. So they claim a 40-mile range, but I haven't seen anything close to 40 miles, but that is to be taken with a grain of salt, because I have basically been full throttle everywhere. I'm always in dual motor. I'm always going, like, you know, the high gear. I'm in turbo mode. So I'm using up a lot more juice than, you know, you really need to. So maybe if you kept it in the lowest speed setting in the single motor, it would do 40 miles with a tailwind going downhill or something like that. But don't expect anywhere near that if you're kind of a speed junkie like I am, and you just want to go fast everywhere. I mean, it's at minimum you'll get like 16 miles at minimum, you know, if you're always flying. And that's not too bad. And I guess that kind of gets me to who we think this is for. It's guys, it's literally too fast sometimes. It's crazy. And it's hard for me to talk and think and ride this thing at full speed. So who is it for? I think it's for someone, you know, they advertise this as being something that you want to ride off-road because it's got the dual motor and the full suspension, and you could ride it off-road. I've ridden it in sort of like a campground setting, and the suspension makes it capable of doing that. But I have a feeling like a lot of people aren't going to use it for that. A lot of people are going to do what I'm using it for, which is riding it around a city. It's just a nice way to get around the city. It's a nice way to commute. It's a nice way to not have to take your car and have to worry about parking or something like that. It's just, you hop on it, zip wherever you want to go. The range is totally sufficient to be able to go pretty much anywhere. I mean, you will get tired of riding or standing before you really need to get off of it, you know what I mean? So it's definitely like perfect for the city. And once again, this full suspension is kind of the game changer for me. I mean, the higher top speed is nice, but I really like the full suspension because it's just so sketchy on those regular scooters when you hit uneven surfaces. And I'm sure you've all seen all the videos online of people crashing on those. They're not stable. And this thing is. Now, it's not without faults. There are a couple downsides. I think first and foremost, The steering on this is a little bit weird and takes a lot of getting used to compared to a traditional scooter. Like a traditional scooter, it's very fluid how it turns, you know, when you turn the handlebars back and forth. This is kind of like sticks a little bit, for lack of a better term. I don't know if they designed that in for like higher speed stability going straight, but it kind of tries to rip the wheel. I say wheel, I'm so used to talking about cars. It tries to rip the handlebars kind of out of your hand, and it's a little bit sticky at times. So that's really the only thing that takes some getting used to. I've kind of just come to, yeah, once again, get used to it. So it's not a big deal. The other thing is these brakes are cable operated, but the good news is the new version has hydraulic brakes, and that's going to be, see, here we go. Big bumps back there, and they do not affect this thing at all. So the new one's going to have hydraulic brakes, so you're not going to have to worry about that kind of thing. We've arrived in Venice. So the brakes are, you know, a bit of an issue for me, but not going to be an issue for you if you buy one, because they're going to be hydraulic. The other thing is the weight. I kind of alluded to this earlier. It's 77 pounds. That's quite a bit. This thing is pretty friggin' heavy and cumbersome to move around. I showed you in the beginning how big it is compared to a traditional scooter. It's, you know, it's bigger in every dimension, and subsequently it's also heavier. You're going to have that with a bigger battery and, you know, 2 motors and full suspension. And, you know, it's not exactly cheap. I don't think it's unreasonably expensive. It's about $1,500 for one of these bad boys. And when you look at how much other scooters cost, it's not unreasonable, I don't think. And you do get a lot for the money. Like I said, with the full suspension, it has good range, dual motor. I like these handlebars that are more substantial than a standard scooter. So, you know, the price is not unreasonable, but it is definitely something to keep in mind. So, you know, other than those few little things that I don't like, it's a great scooter. And even though it's $1,500, it comes with a 2-year warranty. So at least you know it's going to work for a minimum of 2 years. And I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't last longer than that. But it's a great little thing, man. Like I said, I think even though they advertise it for someone to do off-road shenanigans with, it's great for the city. The suspension soaks up the bumps. It can go plenty fast enough, and it has the range for it. So if you want to pick one up for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below. I believe they have $100 off right now for a Christmas sale. It comes with, you know, elbow and knee pads, which I should probably be wearing, but definitely I have a full face on, and I wear some sort of helmet when I'm riding this thing just because it goes so fast. So hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a little bit different video, but you know, I love kind of mixing it up. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Eat, Sleep, Drive TV on Instagram if you want to see what I'm up to in between episodes. See you guys.